It has been a long road and full of challenges. Being bilingual on graduation day has been one of my greatest achievements because I now have the tool set to go on reaching all the objectives I might set for myself in the future. A world of opportunities opened up to me when I started studying with Richmond Solution. I was really able to learn autonomously. I could study at home, in the library, or in the classroom. I could dive into the book, or by being connected to the internet, I could explore fascinating activities that empowered my English skills. I was able to instantly access the answers as they were only a click away. I loved working in a team. My friends and I had great fun as we learned. I learned a lot from them, and I know that they learned something from me. The exams were always challenging, but thanks to the practice that was constantly available on the digital platforms, we were fully up to speed to meet these challenges. I am really going to miss my school.
Richmond's solution helped us hugely to transform the English program in our school. We have now got the best tools to guarantee the best learning. Let me show you. Part of the process gives us access to a coach who builds our confidence, as well as training courses to better our abilities and to continue our improvement. Yes, good teachers are always keen to learn more. As we live in the cloud, as we say in this connected world, we have digital resources to improve our classes and which allow our students to learn from anywhere in the world, even quite literally in the clouds if they are on board an airplane. Through the Richmond Test Manager and Learning Analytics, we have a variety of possibilities to test, validate, and monitor students' progress. It is amazing to be able to see how your students are learning and to have the evidence of their learning at your fingertips. This really does make us very happy indeed. Richmond Solution is a solution designed for you.
Welcome. We are very glad to join this webinar we have planned in order to share ideas about collaborative learning. At Richmond, we enjoy working in teams. I'm glad also to share this session with my colleague and friend, Andres Alarcón. Welcome, Andres.
Hello, Juan Manuel. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here, working with you and delivering this collaborative learning approach webinar.
We would like to start with a little reflection. Now,
okay,
individually,
Yeah, go ahead, Juan.
Could you move to the next slide? Thank you. Individually, we are one drop. Together, we are an ocean. So, how important it is to work collaboratively, not only with our students, but in order to areas as well, different ones. How necessary represent to accept others' idea to create a product, to solve a problem, to obtain different points of view and learn from each other. We invite you to reflect points of view. We invite you to reflect how we can benefit as teachers with this approach. We have planned a couple of activities that we hope you enjoy. Let's go back to the first one. As you see, there's a video probably. The first activity is to watch these short video clips and relate to the main idea of the spirit of collaborative learning. Now, how can we relate this video, this idea about the clips, with our daily practice? Let's focus on those two questions. Number one, what problems do animals have? And number two, how do they seek to solve their problems? Please share your ideas in a Nearpod. Andres, could you explain the activity, please?
Sure. As Juan was mentioning, what we want the teachers is to answer these two questions that Juan Manuel just socialized with you, because we want to, we want you to start working collaboratively since the very beginning of this webinar. Okay, as we're talking about this approach, we want you to start working with it. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to do is to go to the chat. All right, over there you will find a link. Okay, that link will take you to this page in which you will be able to watch a video, and afterward, okay, so that's what we want you to do. Please go to the chat, click on that link that will take you to this web page. All right, after that, you will have to enter your names. If you don't want to enter your name, you can write down the school's name, all right, you belong to, and then we're going to watch the video, okay, and afterwards, you will be able to answer those two questions Juan Manuel was telling you, okay? So please let me know when you're ready, and let us know if you can see that link and if the link is working correctly, please. We'll give you like a minute for you to connect to the web page. So as soon as you are right here in your pod, we will continue, okay? Okay, I can see that there is a Albernia school teacher right now here in Nearpod. We're still waiting for the rest of the teachers so we can start watching the video. For the people that just arrived to this webinar, we want to start with a collaborative learning activity. And what we want you to do is to go to the chat. You will find a link that will take you to Nearpod, and then we're going to watch a video. All right. Based on that video, based on the content of it, we want you to answer those questions that I'm showing you right now. Number one, what problems do the animals have? And number two, how do they seek to solve their problems? That's what we want you to do. And I can see that Lucy is with us. I can see that Albernia School is with us. We're still waiting for more teachers to connect so we can move on. Okay, I think that just enough time for you teachers to connect. So now what we're going to do is to watch the video. I want you to stay here with us in Nearpod, and we're going to watch this short video clip. And remember that based on that video clip, we're going to answer a couple of questions. Okay, so here we go. Okay, now that we watched that video, right here in Nearpod, you will have the chance to use this collaborative board to answer this question. How do the animals seek to solve their problems? Okay, so we would like to, we want to read your ideas, your thoughts. So in that way, we can have like a more interactive session in which you can share all your ideas you come up with, and we're gonna give you a minute. Okay, so you just don't have to spend a lot. You just have to be like brief with the answers that you are going to post. All right. So you have a minute, teachers. Go ahead. Okay, we already have some answers. Sylvie, teacher, Lucy, teacher Maria, they're sharing their answers. If there is a teacher that just arrived, please you have to go to the link to the chat. In the chat, you will find a link that will take you to Nearpod, so you will be able to share all your ideas with the rest of the people. Okay. We're working collaboratively, and as you can see here, we have a collaborative board. You can learn from each other. And for example, Sylvie here, she wrote a really nice idea. I'm gonna read it so everybody gets to know what Sylvie wrote. And she said, "Gather together to defend themselves." Great, very good, Sylvie. Yeah, that's something really cool, right? That is something that the animals are like teaching us. It is really important to work together, okay, in order to achieve one objective. Right here, the objective was to defend themselves. And, if they would have worked individually, probably they would have been, that strategy that they came up with would have been wouldn't I mean it wouldn't have been like that effective as it was, right? Here we have another answer. Lucy say that they work together, taking care of the most vulnerable ones. All right, that's good, and that happens in a real classroom, right? Sometimes we have like high achievers, we have low achievers, and we need to teach those high achievers to help the other ones, right? Because sometimes those low achievers do not want to participate, they do not want to work collaboratively, because sometimes they are afraid of um, making mistakes. They don't want to participate because they are shy. But if we as teachers create that nice environment in which not only the teacher helps, but also high achievers help others to learn, that will be great. Okay. Here we have teacher Maria. When they work together, very good. We have Joanna. They collaborate with each other to protect themselves. Perfect. That's a really good technique that these animals are teaching us. Solita. Teacher Solita said that they know what they need as a group. Perfect. It is something really important when you set an objective since the very beginning of a task or a project. You really know. You really know what you need. Yes, you know what you need. So in that way, it will be easier to reach any objective. Victor Manuel said that they don't give up till the they reach the goals. Okay, very good, Victor Manuel. Nice. And here we have Elena. Elena said that animals support each other to get their goals. Perfect. Very good. So really nice ideas. And as you can see, it is, I mean, like these situations are pretty similar to the ones that we have in our classrooms. All right. And we have to deal with them all the time. Now that you shared your ideas and stuff, we're going to continue here with our presentation. And we're going to move on to our agenda. Right here in the agenda.
Sorry, Andrew. Before we go on, I would like to greet our participants somehow. If you allow me a couple of minutes, please. I would like to say hi to Wendy Joanna from Coeñas, Elena Cárdenas from Barranquilla, Lola Chavez, good afternoon. Natalia Aguirre from San Juan Bosco, Tuluá, Angelini from Hinsaber in Valledupar, Lina Surly from Bogotá, Paula Milena from Boyacá, Sebastián Torres from Bogotá, Eli Castillo, hello Eli from Albernia School, Rolando Albeiro, Frey Tugor from Cali, Ladish Carben, hello, good afternoon, welcome. And Luigi Saavedra, good afternoon. Eli Castillo, Sebastián Torres, Nancy Perez, thank you for being here. I'm sorry to interrupt, Andrew. Let's go on with the agenda.
All right, that's good. That's good to have a lot of teachers all over the country, right? That's a lot of teachers. Nice. I'm glad to have you here, teachers. So welcome once again. And this is the agenda for today. Where does collaborative learning come from? We're going to try to answer that question. We're going to mention some authors that are relevant when it comes to collaborative learning approach. And based on those ideas, we're going to work with one definition because, as you know, there are lots of definitions out there in the literature, but we're going to try to work only with one, okay? So we're going to define what collaborative learning is. After that, we're going to mention some 5 key elements, okay, to bear in mind when talking about collaborative learning. And of course, we're going to mention the benefits and the best practices of this approach. Okay, we're going to talk about some techniques. We're going to give you some like real examples, and we're going to also mention some digital tools, okay, that you can work with in order to start applying this approach in a better way. Okay, so having said that, what I want you to do now is to go back to Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I don't want you to close Nearpod. Okay, don't close that tab because we're going to go back to Nearpod. Okay, and we're going to continue working collaboratively. But I want you to go to Facebook, and right here in Facebook, what I want you to do is to look at these 3 authors that Juan Manuel is going to socialize with you.
Thank you. This is probably the boring stuff in that case, but I think it's very important to remind the basis of collaborative working.
Sure.
Union make the strength. That's very important. So probably it's very important to remind, as I said, the base of these ideas. Although this is not a new approach, it represents an effective proposal for learning. So let's start with Vygotsky, with the social cultural theory. He puts an emphasis on the importance of social interaction for the development of learning and cognition. He believed that community is an essential factor in the process of creating meaning and knowledge. Piaget, for instance, developed the concept of a schema, as we already know, which he defined as a unit of knowledge based on the building blocks that allows students to organize knowledge and understand complex concepts. Degan, by his part, said that probably he developed 5 stages that put an emphasis on transitioning from a subject, which is I am, to an object, which is I have framework, where beliefs, behavior, assumptions, feeling is involved with the process of learning. These 5 stages are related to multiple minds. Let me explain. The stage number 1 probably is involved with the impulsive mind, which is the early childhood. Every child has a mind about impulsive one. The stage number 2 is the imperial mind. This one is that the adolescents have. The stage number 3 is socialized mind. Researchers says that 53% of the population in the world develop that kind of mind. The number 4 is the authority mind, which is probably researchers says that 35 to 37% of the population have the ability to develop that mind. And the last one, very surprisingly, only 1% of the population could develop that, is a transforming mind. So keep it in mind in order to receive more information and transform what I am to a better result. In our case, in education, probably to receive a lot of input and new ideas about how to teach a new experience.
Okay, nice contributions. So we have Vygotsky, we have Piaget, and we have this author, Dewey. Okay, good. So now we're going to move on, okay, and we're going to try to define collaborative learning approach. As I already mentioned before, there are lots of definitions out there, but we have to work with only one, all right? And this one that we have here is the one that we wanted to internalize, to understand, and based on all those ideas that this author is mentioning here, we're going to base all our webinar, right? Okay, so here it says that collaborative learning is an educational approach to teaching and learning that involves groups of learners working together. Okay, so groups of learners working together. However, the fact that students are working together in groups doesn't mean that we're working with collaborative learning. That is something really important to bear in mind. Okay, something really important here is that if the students are working together, they need to, for example, solve a problem, complete a task, or create a product. All right. Sometimes as teachers, we ask our students to, okay, you're going to work in groups, all right? But we're not pretty sure if everybody's working. We're not pretty sure if everybody is collaborating, if everybody is cooperating. So we need to make sure that they get some roles, okay? So everybody contributes and everybody helps each other to reach that objective. Something really important here, and I want to highlight this idea, is that create a product, right? Create a product is something really important. Sometimes we, for example, create our class or we lesson plan based on different like objectives that we set, but we tend to develop low order thinking skills. What are those low order thinking skills? Remember, understand, categorize, describe, and identify. These are like some examples, right? Sometimes we are just like developing those low order thinking skills. For example, when we are speaking all the time, when we are the center of the classroom, when we as teachers are there like explaining, informing students, and they are like they're only listening and in a passive way, we are just developing those low order thinking skills. But we need to push or encourage our students to start developing high order thinking skills. And we can know those high order thinking skills and low order thinking skills if we read some the Bloom's taxonomy. I bet that you are familiar with the Bloom's taxonomy, so you can see all these objectives that I'm mentioning, like categorize, organize, classify, all right? And one of those high order thinking skills is create, okay? So if we can help our students, or if we can create those spaces in which the students can apply all the information that is given by the teacher or by an article or by a video, we are helping students to develop this type of skills. We are allowing them to apply. We are allowing them to analyze, evaluate, and create. Okay, so we have to stop being the center of the whole class. This is something that is called the teacher-centered approach, in which the students are just listening, trying to remember, understand, memorize information, but we do not provide those spaces in which they can actually apply or create something. So this is an idea that I just wanted to highlight. Create a product. Okay, when the students create a product, they are like involved in a more complex like cognitive processes. All right, and we want you to start like keeping that in mind when you plan your classes and of course when you deliver them. Okay, so having said that, we are going to move on, and as I told you before, the fact that students are working in groups doesn't mean that they are like working under the principles of of a collaborative learning approach. If you want to work with this approach, you need to take into account these 5 different key elements. Okay, these 5 key different elements, and the first one is positive interdependence. What does it mean? Team members, I mean, when you're working with this principle, team members are obliged to rely on one another to achieve a goal. Okay, as we were like watching the video at the very beginning of the webinar, every single animal like was doing its part. Yes, so every single one has to rely on one another. Okay, to achieve the objective that they set. If any team members fail to do their part, well, the whole group is going to suffer. Okay, so that's why it is really important to assign roles, and they understand that the task that that person has to do is as important as the other one. All right, as we already know, when we create groups, there are a couple of students that tend to do everything, but when we take into account this key element that is called positive interdependence, every single student understands that his or her job or task is really important in order to get that objective that was set. Okay, we have another one, and that one is positive interaction. Juan Manuel, what do you think about it?
So let me tell you a little bit about positive interaction in the classroom to support the idea to work collaboratively. How I think, how I talk, how I act toward my team members will influence how well we perform. A student with no fear but trust is a student that will learn productively because he feels comfortable in a learning, even though mistakes. By the way, mistakes are very welcome in the process of learning, as you already know. So this actually probably assign a role to a specific in a specific group, probably 3 or 4 people. If you assign roles to every person in the group, they will feel different because they have the chance in order to participate and do their role inside the group to achieve the goal. So it's very important that everybody takes into account this role.
Okay, yeah, it sounds pretty. I mean, number 2 and number 1 are really well connected.
Yes,
they're
connected.
Well, and it happens with number 3, individual accountability. Okay, because it eliminates the time you as teachers spend, the time and the effort you teachers spend on distracting activities or any other unproductive behavior. Okay, you know, when they are working together, they tend to start doing like different things. Okay, so individual accountability is so important. When you let your students know how important every single member of the group is, they're going to understand that I mean, their actions can affect others, or their actions can affect reaching that objective that the group has. Okay, so when you make people accountable for their actions, you are effectively teaching to value their own work. So they become somehow responsible for every single activity that they are supposed to do or that they are in charge of. So as you can see, all these 3 are really well connected, really well like articulated, and you need to keep those in mind. Okay, so now we're going to move on to number 4, social skills. Juan Manuel.
Yes, what you were saying invite us to think a little bit about relationships, which is the number 4 we have got planned. Social skills are very important to relate and to produce collaborative learning well. Working effectively together as a team means that I need to improve my relationships, my interpersonal skills. How do we get along with the students? How do students get along with each other? How do students get along with your teachers? Is essential part of the learning. And again, I would like to emphasize on if they feel comfortable talking to you as an adult, as a teacher, they will probably ask more questions. And the more questions we have, the more better results in education. That's the process of inquiry involves within English in that case.
Yeah, it is important that students, you know, rely on the teacher, that they feel confident or comfortable to talk to the teacher, to ask any question, but also to like feel confident when working with different people. Sometimes students only want to work with the same person, with their friends and staff, so they need to know that they somehow need to develop those social skills in order to be able to work with every single person in the classroom. Okay, that's what the labor market, for example, is looking for. Those type of people that can work with different teams, not only with the same people all the time, and they can assign some roles. They can get their role, different roles. All right, when they're working together, and as a group, they can get all those objectives. That's why group processing, which is the last key element, is really important, because at some point the students or the groups need to stop and they need to evaluate themselves. Okay, so because sometimes when we ask our students to work collaboratively or in groups, we only assess the last period, I mean the last stage of the whole process. So that would be something called summative evaluation. Yes, we just focus our attention on the last product, but we need to somehow pay attention to the whole process. And the students, when they're working as a team, they need to stop and they need to check on those things that went well, or probably they can identify some problems throughout the whole process, so they can adjust, all right, on time. That is something really important. If we consider all these 5 key elements, it is because we are working under the principles of the collaborative learning approach. Because if we do not take into account all those 5, probably we are working under the principles of a different approach. For example, cooperative learning. There are like differences between collaborative and cooperative learning, and we want to talk a little bit about it.
Sure. So what's the difference between collaborative or cooperative? Is there a difference between these two approaches? Both of them are the strategies to work in the classroom, and it depends also what you plan with. Now, let's differentiate collaborative and cooperative learning. These are 2 effective strategies according to the objectives we have planned. While one on the right, let me read it for you. Okay, each one needs to upload the assigned part of the research in the Google Doc so you can all check and present. Now, this one is very different from the other perspective, which is this one. How do we present results? Let's all design a poster and put what we research in it. So which one of those you consider meets probably collaborative? In one on the right, every student present a task, while in the other one, on the left, every student is part of the task. That's the real difference between collaborative and cooperative work. I'm not saying that probably cooperative work it's not good idea for working on with pairs within groups. It is actually. However, it depends on the focus and the planning you effectively plan with the activities. Let me give you some ideas about probably best practicing that you consider in your classes. You can begin with simple in-class collaborative assignments, activities, before attempting collaborative assignments that occupy time on the count of substantial part of the student's grade. Small groups. Use small groups, no more than 5 people per group, for example. This reduces the free rider effect or intra-group competition. Competition, you can balance that within the students. Number 3, probably you can organize diverse group mix. mix the students in different likes or background and academic performance to promote fairness and equity in that case. That probably works. In that case, you are responsible as teacher to create those groups in order to. One pulls another one. And that's a positive strategy as well. A last one, probably, we can create and provide rubrics. Rubrics are very important at the beginning of my assignments to grade the learning process and to assess final work. So probably these advices ring the bells for you in order to apply collaborative work in your classroom.
Okay, thank you very much, Juan Manuel. I bet that teachers find this information really useful because sometimes we as teachers think that we're working with collaborative learning approach, but it turns out that probably we're just working with cooperative learning principles. All right, so that information is so helpful for them to know, so they can evaluate themselves, so they can check those lesson plans and see, okay, this activity is probably a collaborative one, but this one is a cooperative one. As Juan Manuel was mentioning, there's nothing wrong working with cooperative, but as you know, collaborative learning has more benefits, and we have divided all those benefits. Well, we didn't do it. Actually, it was a work that did recognize authors about this topic in the literature. You can find these categories, and they were divided into 4 main topics. First one, the social one. We have the psychological, we have the academic, and we have the assessment. Okay, so as we were mentioning before, and Juan Manuel was like wisely saying, there are like different social parameters, okay, that are going on when you're working with collaborative learning. As he was mentioning, it is really important to create those nice environments in which every single student feels like confident, okay, when they feel free to participate, to interact, to communicate, to share experiences, thoughts, ideas. It is really important for them to develop those social skills. And when we provide those spaces in which students have to work together, well, we are developing that part, okay? Of course, if they are able to communicate and staff, that the psychological part is going to be somehow affected too, okay, in the positive way. For example, self-esteem is going to improve. We're going to reduce like those anxiety levels, okay, that probably some students might feel when they have to present something, when they have to communicate, when they have to do like work with different people. All right, we can reduce those anxiety levels that sometimes are really harmful when the students want to develop different skills. And of course, it is going to promote positive attitudes. As I was mentioning like a long time ago, it is really important to let those high achievers know that they need to help others, right? Because in a classroom where collaborative learning is present, every single person learns from each other, okay? I mean, the source of knowledge or information is not only the teacher, okay, and we have to stop doing that, okay, because that is like a traditional practice. Now, the academic part, we're developing critical thinking, as you know, the 21st century skills. I mean, collaborative learning is one of the 21st century skills, but also critical thinking, okay. So we need to help those students to be critical thinkers, all right? And when we are working together, we're going to have active students, okay? Active classes. So the students are not there only listening to the teacher, yes, in a passive way. They're doing something, they're applying, they're creating, as I was mentioning with the Bloom's taxonomy. Remember that? Results are going to improve. We're going to create like, it would be better if we create like those problematic situations and students have to figure out how to solve that problem, okay? That one is a really good technique. And the last one, assessment, we're going to have a variety of assessment techniques. For example, when you ask the students to work together, you have time to monitor students' work, and you can somehow like take notes, and in that way you will be able to provide students with rich feedback, with better feedback. Okay, so it is really important to consider all these aspects. And as here in this slide, in the assessment part, it says that we have a variety of assessment techniques. We're going to show you some techniques, and we're going to share the experiences that we've had. We're going to give you concrete examples, but in this moment, we want you to work together. Okay, I want you to work with us. We are going to share those activities that have worked to you, all right, that went well in any of your classes, and we're going to continue working collaboratively, as I told you. So right here we have like this question: have you ever conducted collaborative learning strategies in your classes? I bet that you might realize that probably you have done a lot, but probably you didn't know that you were working under the principles of this approach. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. Okay, so we're going to start with the collaborative learning techniques that are categorized in this way. So we're going to talk about this first technique that is called discussion, and there we're going to go over the rest of the techniques that I'm showing you right now. We're going to talk a little bit about reciprocal peer teaching, problem solving, graphic organizers, and writing. Okay, so discussion. It would be great to listen to my partner and talking about this technique.
Great. What we plan to do, as you see at the beginning of the webinar, was trying to modeling you an activity to promote collaborative learning. So that's why we decided to use the Nearpod, because in Nearpod, everybody can share ideas to create one product, and that is the spirit of collaborative learning. But probably we run out of time, Andrew, so we will try to share the examples probably from real life of every part of the techniques. That comes a very interesting part of the webinar. And the first one is discussion. So in this case, where we work with teachers probably and developing effective lesson plans, one thing we always ask for them to revise was the phrase, let's discuss this. We will discuss this. So we will discuss a video, we will discuss a story, even our results we can discuss, personal results. So there are two activities probably that promote that part of the discussion part. The first one is think, pair, share, and the other one is three-step interview. Let me talk a little bit about it. Now, the first one, with the think, pair, share, this is a collaborative learning strategy where students work together to solve a problem or answer a question about an assigned reading. So this strategy requires the students to think first individually about a topic or an answer to a question and share ideas with the classmates. This is a very interesting strategy, especially with teenagers. The other one is three steps interview. In this case, students are grouped into small groups of three. Each member of the group, as I said before, assumes a special role, a different role to interview and report, like a note taker. And each student should set an opportunity to play each role, so they rotate. So it's a very important strategy to promote collaborative learning. And in that case, if you assign the role to every student, he's very busy on it, so there's no time to misbehave. That's an advantage probably for this strategy.
Okay, pretty interesting. So Juan Manuel, what do you think if we allow teachers to share their ideas just for this technique? Is it possible, or probably we're running out of time?
No, I think, I don't know if Laura and Lisa and Christian are advised at one at a time, because we have 9 minutes more, Andrew. So I think we're running out of time.
Okay, so it is better for us to let you know all the techniques. Second technique is this one, peer teaching. Okay, for example, here we have like the 2 different type of activities. The first one is note-taking pairs, and the third one is the jigsaw all right, a type of activity. So when you are asking students to note take, to take notes like in couples or probably check what the other person wrote down, they're going to realize somehow that probably those notes that they took are not as effective, are not as important as they want. Okay, why? Because they can see, they can compare, and they can see that probably the person next to me is like, I mean, that person has like more information, and that information will allow me to complete a task or to do something different or to accomplish those objectives that the teacher set. So it is better for them to start like working together, and in that way you are creating those peer assessment spaces in which they can actually learn from each other. The same happens with the jigsaw activity, in which, for example, you teachers have a lot of information to share with the students, but you don't want, once again, to be the center of the classroom, informing students and sharing all that information with them while they're like listening to you in a passive way. So you can do the following thing: you can somehow like split all that information, breaking into different parts, all right, and you can create small groups. So if you have all this information, you're going to give every single group a piece of information, so they're going to become experts. They're going to read the article, they're going to watch the video, or whatever the source you're using to inform teachers is. And after that, when they become experts about that specific topic, about that specific information, they will be able to share that information with others. So in that way, for example, if you have a group members group, two people can move or rotate, okay, and they're going to share that information that they learned, okay, and they're going to listen to the others too. So they're going to inform, but also they're going to also learn about a different piece of information. Okay, depends on how you divide all those things that you want your students to learn. Okay, so you can create different groups, different stations. First, they have to read, they have to become experts, and once they know the information, they're going to be like more than ready to share it with others. Okay, so they're going to communicate, they're going to work together, they're going to listen to each other, and in terms of language, of course, they're going to have the chance to work with speaking, listening, pronunciation, and stuff. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our third technique, which is problem solving. Juan Manuel.
Up two examples, probably set a problem, a three stay, one stray. Very important. Let me explain a little bit about it. On the first one, set a problem, students' teams participate in a series of problem solving rounds and then evaluate alternative solutions offered by different groups. So this is very important, essentially, with teenagers where they have to solve their problems in that case. So they're facing each other, they take in resolutions, they're listening to each other, and then we can solve the problem in that case. In the other perspective, probably, the three stay, one stay is one of my favorites. It's a kind of a structure in cooperative learning that can fit into collaborative purposes. It is a technique for having groups report out the results of their discussion. So groups are given a problem to solve, and they are told to make sure that everyone in the group understands the solution that the group has come up with. So everybody in the classroom, everybody in the groups, they understand and accept the solution in that case, so we can solve the problem. Then the next one, probably, Andre, if you're up to, I would like to talk a little bit about this graphic organizer because this is my favorite one. So we never try to train our students, help our students to retain information, that input, and in somehow we try to teach them and model them how to organize their ideas in order to order and make connections with the topic. We never do that. I have students at the university that they cannot take notes. They make pictures and they forget it. So graphic organizers are a very good strategy for them, help them to retain information and to work collaboratively. So let me give you an example. The sequence change helps students comprehend by text identifying key elements before, while, and after reading. They note key characters, settings, events, etc. This strategy is useful in reading, solving problems, experimenting, or even creating a product as well. The other one is a group crypt. A group crypt is a collaborative activity that uses a graphic organized because information can be arranged spatially. It can help students discover the patterns and relationships among ideas that are sometimes difficult or impossible to convey in a text alone.
Okay, thank you very much, Juan Manuel. What do you think if we share like some digital apps with teachers so they can start like working with those applications now that we are working remotely? We can let our teachers know about these digital tools and that we can finish.
Yes, Andrew?
Okay. All right. So as we were mentioning, there are like different collaborative boards, like the one that we use at the very beginning of the webinar. We can also work with Padlet, but there are also like really powerful digital tools, especially the ones that Richmond has. For example, the Richmond Learning Platform allow teachers to create forums in which students are going to participate. They can learn from each other. They can read others' comments. They can comment over those comments. So we can create like a social environment in which students can express their ideas. And the same happens with my okay. Of course, we have here Google Drive, we have Padlet, and we have these like materials that you can start using, and that's it.
Right. So I'm just going to make an extra emphasis on two products. Probably there are plenty of applications and strategies to work with digital. Nowadays, we have to get connected with the students remotely. But one of my favorites is Canvas and CMAP tools with the graphic organizer. But I would like to emphasize on the new products we have got at Richmond, the Go for primary and now U for secondary. In the Go, we introduce in primary and innovate with nowadays methodologies. This optional resource contains 4 areas of teaching. The first one, probably you're familiar with, flipped learning, thinking-based learning, drama, and collaborative learning. So every unit has a special issue for working and developing collaborative learning with your students. The next one is now U for high school and secondary. And it's a very important aspect to mention finally, which is mediation. Mediation is a very good strategy to work and help nowadays our teenagers at the school. What is it? It's a broad idea covering social, cultural, and linguistic aspects. But in a simple terms, it refers to facilitate communication between 2 or more speakers or group who, for whatever reason, they cannot communicate directly, promoting collaborative work. So if you want to know a little bit more about this, please contact your academic consultant for Richmond to know more better Go and Now You. I think that's it. It's 5 o'clock. We're reaching the time. I would like to thank you, Andrew, for all your advices. Thank you. I would like to, maybe next time we'll see each other. Thank you for the participants. I can see that we have people from Mexico. That's terrific. Thank you very much. Probably you cannot answer more questions because of the time, but however, we will try to keep in touch. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your invitation. Bye, everybody.
It has been a long road and full of challenges. Being bilingual on graduation day has been one of my greatest achievements because I now have the tool set to go on reaching all the objectives I might set for myself in the future. A world of opportunities opened up to me when I started studying with Richmond Solution. I was really able to learn autonomously. I could study at home, in the library, or in the classroom. I could dive into the book, or by being connected to the internet, I could explore fascinating activities that empowered my English skills. I was able to instantly access the answers as they were only a click away. I loved working in a team. My friends and I had great fun as we learned. I learned a lot from them, and I know that they learned something from me. The exams were always challenging, but thanks to the practice that was constantly available on the digital platforms, we were fully up to speed to meet these challenges. I am really going to miss my school.
Richmond Solution helped us hugely to transform the English program in our school. We have now got the best tools to guarantee the best learning. Let me show you. Part of the process gives us access to a coach who builds our confidence, as well as training courses to better our abilities and to continue our improvement. Yes, good teachers are always keen to learn more. As we live in the cloud, as we say in this connected world, we have digital resources to improve our classes and which allow our students to learn from anywhere in the world, even quite literally in the clouds if they are on board an airplane. Through the Richmond Test Manager and Learning Analytics, we have a variety of possibilities to test, validate, and monitor students' progress. It is amazing to be able to see how your students are learning and to have the evidence of their learning at your fingertips. This really does make us very happy indeed. Richmond Solution is a solution designed for you.